In 2147, humanity faces an existential threat from the Kothari, a cunning alien species seeking Earth's resources. As the Kothari infiltrate human society, Major Elena Foster and James Carter of the United Earth Defense Force must lead the fight to protect their world from destruction. James Carter stood at the window of his London apartment, watching the city below transform from a bustling metropolis to an eerie landscape, swallowed by the night. The power outage was the largest he had ever seen, taking out communications and leaving entire regions without electricity. James's years in special forces had taught him to recognize the signs of a coordinated attack, and this blackout felt intentional. As he observed the growing panic, his phone buzzed with a message from Emily Harris, an old friend and renowned astrophysicist. The message was brief and urgent. "Meet at HQ. Bring everything you've got." James knew Emily wouldn't contact him unless the situation was dire. He grabbed his backpack, double-checking the contents, tools, a laptop, and a modified satellite phone, before heading out. Arriving at Emily's laboratory, James found a room filled with scientists and military personnel. The tension in the air was thick as Emily approached him, her expression grim. "We've intercepted a transmission," she said, leading him to a console displaying a series of alien symbols and waveforms. An extraterrestrial species, the Kothari, are orchestrating this blackout. They see us as a resource to be exploited. The revelation sent a chill down James's spine. The Kothari considered humanity weak, an easy target, but he knew better. He and Emily had once explored the potential of Earth's natural electromagnetic fields, a project dismissed as theoretical but now possibly their best weapon. "We need to show them they've underestimated us," James replied, his voice steady despite the gravity of their situation. Emily nodded, her determination mirroring his. "The Kothari ship is using cloaking technology, rendering it invisible. We have to find a way to disrupt it." She explained that the aliens' technology had a critical flaw. It was susceptible to interference from Earth's electromagnetic fields. If they could amplify these fields, they might expose the ship. The room buzzed with activity as James and Emily outlined their plan. They needed a team, engineers, hackers, and strategists, to execute their strategy. The goal was to create a network of ground-based devices capable of generating powerful electromagnetic pulses. It was ambitious, and the window of opportunity was small, but it was their best shot. As they worked, James couldn't shake the feeling of being watched. His instincts, honed through years of covert operations, told him that something wasn't right. They had a traitor in their midst, someone feeding information to the Kothari. It was a suspicion he couldn't prove, but it added another layer of urgency to their mission. Hours turned into a blur of calculations and preparations. The team worked tirelessly, their focus unbroken by the scale of the challenge ahead. They adapted quickly, drawing on the wealth of human creativity and ingenuity. With the plan in motion, James felt a familiar sense of anticipation, the kind that came before a mission with no room for error. As dawn approached, the team gathered for a final briefing. James looked at each of them, seeing the mix of fear and resolve in their eyes. "We've been underestimated," he began, choosing his words carefully. "But we know what we're capable of. Let's show the Kothari what it means to be human." The plan was set. As the sun rose, casting its first light over the city, James and his team moved into position. They were ready to fight not just for survival, but to prove that Earth was not a prize to be claimed. Humanity would stand its ground, and they would do whatever it took to defend their home. The operation to expose the Kothari's hidden ship was underway, and James Carter was at its heart. The team had gathered in an underground facility beneath the city, where the hum of machines filled the air as they prepared their makeshift network of devices. Each unit was designed to amplify the electromagnetic fields they hoped would reveal the alien vessel cloaked above Earth's atmosphere. Emily Harris was at the center of the preparations, her eyes fixed on a monitor displaying real-time data from their equipment. "We have to get this right on the first try," she said, her voice steady despite the pressure they faced. She had spent the last few hours calculating the precise parameters needed to disrupt the Kothari's technology. James moved through the room, checking on the team and lending a hand where he could. Each member was an expert in their field, brought together by necessity and a shared determination to protect their world. Among them was Marcus Patel, a brilliant engineer with a knack for improvisation. He was fine-tuning the generators, ensuring they could handle the massive output required for the plan to succeed. "We're cutting it close, James," Marcus called out, not looking up from his work. "But this might just work. If they've made even a slight mistake in their cloaking frequencies, we'll catch them." James nodded, appreciating the optimism. But he couldn't shake the feeling that time was running out. The power outage had thrown the world into confusion, and panic was spreading. They had to act before the Kothari realized their plan and took evasive action. The final piece of the puzzle was the software Emily had designed to coordinate the pulses. It was a complex algorithm, one that required precise timing and synchronization across all devices. As the clock ticked down, she uploaded the program and ran a final diagnostic. Everything was in place. With a deep breath, James addressed the team. "This is it. Once we start, there's no going back. Stay focused and be ready for anything." He glanced at Emily, who gave him a reassuring nod, and together they initiated the sequence. The room dimmed as the generators roared to life, sending waves of energy surging through the network. On the monitors, the data spiked as electromagnetic pulses rippled outwards, targeting the skies. It was a gamble, a leap into the unknown, but it was their only chance. Minutes passed, each second dragging with agonizing slowness. Then, just as doubt began to creep in, an alert flashed on Emily's screen. The cloaking field had weakened, revealing the outline of a massive Kothari ship. It hung in the air, its presence both awe-inspiring and menacing. The room erupted in a mix of relief and determination. They had succeeded in forcing the Kothari into the open, but the battle was far from over. James quickly organized their next steps, aware that the Kothari would not take this lightly. They had to be ready to defend against any counterattack. But as the team celebrated their small victory, James noticed something strange on one of the secondary monitors. A transmission, encrypted and hidden, was being sent from their location. His suspicion about a traitor in their ranks had been correct. Someone was feeding information to the Kothari. Without wasting a moment, he signaled to Emily and Marcus, pointing out the anomaly. They quickly isolated the signal and traced it to a terminal at the edge of the room. As James moved to investigate, the realization that they had been compromised added a new layer of urgency to their mission. Whoever was behind the betrayal, they had put everyone in danger. James knew that uncovering the traitor was crucial, not just to protect the team, but to ensure the success of their larger fight against the Kothari. The stakes had never been higher, and every decision counted. With the ship now visible, Earth's defense forces scrambled to react, coordinating with James and his team. The revelation of the traitor was a reminder that the battle was being fought on more than one front. As the chapter closed, the weight of their task pressed down on them all, and James steeled himself for the challenges ahead. The revelation of the traitor within their ranks had cast a shadow over the team, but there was no time to waste. James Carter moved quickly, coordinating efforts to secure the facility and prevent any further leaks. They couldn't afford another slip-up, not with the Kothari ship now exposed and vulnerable. Emily Harris, still at the helm of the monitoring station, worked to stabilize the electromagnetic field that held the Kothari vessel in view. Her fingers danced over the keyboard as she adjusted parameters, maintaining the delicate balance needed to keep the ship visible. "We have to keep this going long enough for the defense forces to get a lock on them," she called out, her voice steady with resolve. Meanwhile, Marcus Patel and a few others swept through the facility, checking for any signs of sabotage. They found the terminal that had sent the encrypted transmission, and it was clear someone had tried to cover their tracks. The realization that a trusted member had betrayed them added urgency to their mission. Whoever it was could still be within the facility, plotting their next move. As James and Marcus coordinated their search, a voice crackled over the comms. It was Major Elena Foster, the leader of the Earth Defense Forces stationed nearby. "We've got a visual on the target. Preparing to engage," she announced, her tone calm and authoritative. James knew Foster was a seasoned strategist, someone who could handle the Kothari threat with precision. But even as the defense forces prepared to engage, James couldn't shake the feeling that the traitor was still at large. He needed to find them before they could do any more damage. Leaving Marcus in charge of securing the room, he made his way through the facility, searching for any clues that might lead him to the culprit. His mind raced as he considered the possibilities. The team was small, each member carefully selected for their skills and loyalty. Yet someone had managed to deceive them, putting their mission at risk. As he moved through the dimly lit corridors, he remained vigilant, knowing that the traitor could strike at any moment. Back in the control room, Emily maintained her focus on the screens, watching as the defense forces closed in on the Kothari ship. The alien vessel, now stripped of its invisibility, was a formidable sight. Its sleek, metallic surface bristled with weapons, each one capable of devastating destruction. But the element of surprise was no longer theirs, and the humans had the advantage of preparation. Suddenly, a loud crash echoed through the facility. James froze, listening intently for any further sounds. It had come from a storage area nearby. He approached cautiously, every sense alert to the potential threat. As he neared the source, he could hear the faint hum of machinery, and then a voice. It was a voice he recognized, though he couldn't immediately place it. He pressed against the wall, edging closer to the door, and peered inside. There, standing amidst a tangle of cables and equipment, was one of their technicians, Alan Whitaker. Alan was known for his technical expertise, but the betrayal etched on his face was unmistakable. "Alan," James called out, stepping into the room with his hand resting on the weapon at his side. "Why are you doing this?" Alan turned sharply, his expression a mix of anger and desperation. "You don't understand, James. The Kothari promised me power, a place in their new order. I was going to be a leader, not just another pawn in this game." James shook his head, disappointment clear in his eyes. "You've put us all at risk. This isn't about power, Alan. It's about survival. For all of us." But Alan wasn't listening. He moved to activate a device on the table, something that looked suspiciously like a detonator. James reacted instantly, lunging forward to stop him. They grappled for control, the outcome uncertain as they struggled in the confined space. In the control room, Emily watched as the defense forces launched their attack on the Kothari ship. Missiles streaked through the sky, leaving trails of smoke as they targeted the alien vessel. The battle was fierce, and the outcome was far from certain. Back in the storage room, James managed to disarm Alan, knocking the device from his hand. As it clattered to the floor, he secured Alan's hands behind his back, preventing any further betrayal. "It's over, Alan," he said, his voice firm. But even as he spoke, the facility shuddered with the impact of the battle above. The Kothari were retaliating, their weapons lighting up the sky. James knew that while they had thwarted Alan's betrayal, the fight was far from finished. With Alan subdued, he turned his attention back to the larger threat looming overhead, ready to do whatever it took to ensure humanity's survival. As the final phase of their plan unfolded, the Kothari vessel began its descent toward Earth's atmosphere. Major Elena Foster coordinated the assault with precision, her team launching a series of countermeasures designed to disorient and disable the alien ship. Missiles streaked across the sky, leaving behind trails of fire as they honed in on their target. The air buzzed with the intensity of the battle, every move calculated to outwit the invaders. In the control room, Emily Harris maintained her focus on the tactical screens. Her hands flew across the console, making rapid adjustments to the defense systems. The tension in the room was thick, every team member acutely aware of the stakes. They had to succeed in this moment or risk the obliteration of their world. James Carter, having secured the traitor Alan Whitaker, returned to the command center. He assessed the situation, quickly analyzing the progress of the engagement. "How are we looking?" he asked Emily, his voice steady despite the chaos unfolding around them. "We're holding, but just barely," Emily replied, not taking her eyes off the screens. "They're putting up a fight. We need to push harder." James nodded, considering their options. The Kothari had advanced technology, but their reliance on stealth had left them vulnerable once exposed. He glanced at the readouts and noticed a potential weakness in their formation. "Focus on their left flank," he suggested. "It's thinner there. We might be able to break through." Emily nodded, relaying the information to Major Foster. The Major's response was immediate, her forces pivoting to exploit the gap. On the monitors, they watched as the tide began to turn. The Kothari ship wavered, its shields flickering under the concentrated assault. Meanwhile, Marcus Patel was in the facility's armory, coordinating with other team members to ensure they were prepared for any scenario. Despite the urgency of their current battle, he knew they had to be ready for the possibility of ground invasion if the Kothari managed to land. He checked the weapons cache, ensuring everything was operational and ready to deploy. Back above, the battle raged on. The Kothari, realizing they were losing the upper hand, intensified their attack, firing a barrage of energy blasts toward the defense forces. Explosions lit up the sky, and the ground shook with the impact. Yet the humans held their ground, their resolve unwavering. In the midst of this, a new voice crackled over the communication system. It was General William Hayes, the leader of Earth's Unified Defense Command. "We've got reinforcements on the way," he announced, his voice calm and reassuring. "Hang tight, everyone. We're almost there." The arrival of additional support bolstered their efforts. More ships entered the fray, targeting the Kothari vessel with relentless precision. It was a coordinated effort, each squadron working in tandem to outmaneuver the alien invaders. The air was filled with the roar of engines and the blaze of weaponry, the sky a theater of fire and determination. As the battle reached its peak, the Kothari ship began to falter. Its defenses weakened under the sustained assault, and cracks appeared in its hull. The defense forces seized the opportunity, launching a final, coordinated strike that breached the ship's core. Emily watched the screens, her heart pounding with anticipation. The Kothari vessel shuddered, then erupted in a blinding flash of light as it disintegrated in the sky. Cheers erupted in the control room, the tension breaking as the realization of their victory settled in. But as the cheers echoed through the facility, James felt a sense of unease. The battle might have been won, but the war was far from over. The Kothari would not easily abandon their designs on Earth. This encounter had proven humanity's resilience, but it had also exposed them to the galaxy's dangers. He turned to his team, a mixture of relief and determination in his eyes. "We did it," he said, his voice carrying a mix of pride and caution. "But we have to stay vigilant. This was only one battle in a much larger fight." Emily nodded, understanding the gravity of their situation. They had achieved a significant victory, but it was merely a step in a much longer journey. The universe was vast, filled with unknown threats and opportunities. As the team regrouped, Major Foster's voice came over the comms once more. "Well done, everyone. Let's get back to base and regroup. We've got a lot of work ahead of us." James looked out at the horizon, the sun beginning to set over the battlefield. He knew the challenges ahead would be many, but he also knew they had the strength and unity to face them. With renewed purpose, he led his team back to base, ready to prepare for whatever came next.